Simsy Claire here and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are doing another kind of a family style home. So this is in Newcrest. We're on Midtown Meadows, and my idea for this home was that it was going to be a grandma's house. It's not very like traditional, like cottagey, like when you initially think grandma's house. I don't know, I always go towards like cottage in the woods, you know, over the river and through the woods type of a deal. This one is not like that at all. It is a little bit more traditional suburban, but I kind of figured that maybe they had moved in here when they had their when their child had their grandkids, because I do have a complete room in here for the grandkids to stay in. So my thought process was maybe their kid had kids maybe before they got married or by accident, and they didn't really have any place to go, so they bought this house to kind of be able to fit their kid and their grandkids, or maybe they are watching their kids, or maybe they're watching their grandkids while their kid works or something. I don't know, but my idea was that this was a newer house that they had bought to be closer to their now extended family, and the shape of it came rather quickly. I was kind of going off a little bit of a reference picture. It was a very basic like family style home, but I really liked how the front porch wrapped around, but not wrapped around the whole house. Like I just kind of liked the shape of the front of the house. That's why I picked it. And I really like how these windows work. So it's the Parenthood windows, and then there's these base game windows. They kind of go together, and at first I was just going to use Seasons windows, but I use Seasons a lot, so I was trying to find something a little different to use. And when I saw how these windows looked against the pale wood that I had chosen, I was really happy with how it turned out, so I decided to keep them. And then I gave them a garage, and I do end up putting a car in the garage. Actually, I think it's a really small garage, but I end up putting like a really classic looking car in there, and I was kind of thinking that maybe the grandfather was really into fixing up old cars, and so he had the one that he was currently working on in the garage. But here I am fencing in the backyard. Now I do this most of the time just to like kind of fill up space, because I can never fill up backyards, and I actually have a build coming out, it'll be out Wednesday, that there is a little bit of an empty space in the backyard, but I had no idea what to put there. I was so just like, because I always do a gardening area or a swing set, but that house doesn't actually have any children in it, so I had no idea what to put in that spot, and so I kind of just left it blank. And I figured maybe as they like expanded their family, eventually they could go ahead and put something there, but I had no idea like exactly what to put there. But going back to this house, instead of me rambling, I initially go with this modern mailbox because it kind of fit the aesthetic of the house, but then I was like, no, this is a granny's house. So I do end up switching over to the nifty knitting mailbox that we got, and I do a couple of other changes as well. Like I changed the doors, and the inside of the house ends up being a little bit more traditional than the outside. But as I said, I figured that they had gotten this house recently, but obviously they still have a style that is their own, so they probably just redid the inside of the house to match how they like it to look. I also thought maybe this could have been like a planned community where like the homeowners association declares what your houses look like on the outside, but they don't really care what's on the inside. So I figured maybe they had bought this house because of the nice community that it's in for the kids, and then they just did the inside more of the traditional style that they like. But I just did the landscaping. I cut out quite a bit of it because it's a really repetitive, and it doesn't really, I don't know, it covers most of the grounds, so I figured watching me do it over and over again was just going to be a little nuts. But here's where I put the fancy car into the garage, and then I skip over the floor planning real quick because I ate lunch, so there was like an hour worth of footage where there was no movement. It was just staring at the upside down walls, and then I came back in and real quickly put together a floor plan, and I decided just to cut the whole thing out. Here I'm throwing in some bicycles because the house does have enough space for 2 kids, so I figured that they would have bikes to ride around in the neighborhood, maybe with some friends, or to ride to school in the morning. And then I placed a couple of rocking chairs out here, Yes, I know, very traditional for old people to have rocking chairs, but now that we have them, I just want to use them all the time. And then I also do a florist bench. This is because I give them a little gardening area out back. I figured the grandma, along with knitting, was really into gardening, and she probably maintained the flowers. And so I figured she would have a little bit of a florist bench. Maybe she even ran a flower shop. Maybe that was her job, because like I said, I figured the husband fixed up old cars, so maybe he was a mechanic and she ran a florist shop. But going into the inside, you can see I picked out a very traditional wallpaper with the wooden baseboards and the wooden floor, and I can't remember what wood floor this is. But I can tell you it's either Cats and Dogs or Jungle Adventure. Pretty sure it's Cats and Dogs because that's the one I use the most often, but it's either Cats and Dogs or Jungle Adventure. And then I'm going in with these base game curtains, and then I'm going to decorate the front area here very basically. It's pretty much what I do with every house, and I know it gets a little repetitive, but there isn't a lot that you can put in front, like foyer areas. I always try and like think back to the different houses that I've lived in, and pretty much all of them have the exact same thing, unless it was like a super tiny foyer. There was one house that I lived in that it was a split level, so when you came in, the foyer just like was 2 staircases, and there was absolutely nothing in that foyer. It was just blank. So if I ever did a house like that, but I'm not quite sure you can do split foyers in The Sims. I think it would be really complicated with the way that like the floors work and the different grounds work. I'm sure someone has figured it out. If they have, let me know in the comments down below, because I'd love to see how they figured it out. But that's the only time I've ever seen a foyer that doesn't have anything in it. And since I'm not doing split level houses, I usually just put the same traditional things. But anyway, moving on into the living room. So I use this Cats and Dogs fireplace, and I usually never use it because it's so big. But I think it looked really nice here in this house. And then I also use this Cats and Dogs couch, which I never use because I personally think it's a rather not so pretty couch, but I thought it really matched the style I was going for with this grandparents' house. And then I placed a drink tray from Eco Lifestyle, and then I'm gonna load up the fireplace with a whole bunch of pictures. I figured that they were really into their family. Obviously, they bought this house to help out their child with their grandchildren, so I figured they had a whole lot of pictures of their grandkids and their kids. And I was kind of thinking about my grandparents at this point, because my one grandma, when you go into her apartment, she literally has pictures up all over the place of me and my sister, my cousins, my mom and her siblings. So I just kind of pictured like that kind of grandparents that just have all these pictures everywhere. I don't know. But so that was what I was thinking with the fireplace. Obviously, the pictures will repeat themselves throughout the house because we don't have that many pictures here in The Sims 4, which I would really love for them to just bring out like a clutter pack that had a whole bunch of different picture frames and some different like statues that we could use, and some different clutter items. I don't know. I feel like I get bored really easily with the clutter items we have in the game, but that could just be me. But moving on into the kitchen, this floor plan is a little weird. It's a little weird. I'm just gonna say it that way, because you can see that there's like this really long but wide hallway that kind of leads from one end being the living room to the other end being the kitchen, and then I kind of just put the dining room somewhere over here because I definitely figured they would have a dining room. And the kitchen is very small, and there is no like island or anything, so there's this empty space in between the kitchen and the staircase, and I didn't know what to put there because nothing really seemed to fit. The whole idea of an island didn't really match this kitchen because of how like not wide that space is. Like I felt like if I tried to put an island in there, it could only be like 1 or 2 tiles, and then it would block like the refrigerator. I don't know. It just felt very much like an island would not fit. And then over here, I'm trying to clutter up the counters a little bit. I wanted to make sure it was still functional, so I left that one next to the sink and the stove completely blank. And then I also put a pastry case, a bread box, and a jar of cookies, because traditionally, or more stereotypically, grandparents always bake and shove food down their kids and grandkids' throats, so I figured that they would have a lot of sweets around. Obviously, the 2 grandparents didn't work anymore. They were retired, so I figured they had a lot of time to sit and bake. And then, as I said, the grandma does knit, so I did give them some of these hanging planters. And they're a little modern for this build, but I thought maybe they had made them as a gift to their child, and then when they came back home with the kids, they kind of just put them back up in their house. But in here is going to be the living room. I do end up moving the washer and dryer over here in a second. I'm not sure if I leave it in, because yeah, I did. So my camera was moving around a lot when I was trying to work out this hallway area because of how small it is. I was trying to make it work. And I do get a couple of different decorations, but you did see I cut out a lot of it because my camera was just moving around way too much. But this is going to be the downstairs bathroom, and it is a full bathroom. I believe this house ends up with 3 bathrooms. So there's an ensuite for the grandparents' room, and then the kids' room and the guest or parent bedroom will share a bathroom, and then there's this one downstairs. So in gameplay it should work out perfectly fine, but it's 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. And then in here's going to be the office area. So here I get a couple of bookshelves and the couch from Nifty Knitting, and then I also believe this is where I place the knitting basket for the grandmother. It's a small little office area. There isn't a lot in here, but I think it comes together rather nicely, and it looks really cozy. All the browns and the warm tones really kind of just make it fit together. And like I said, there's the knitting basket, and then over here I get a desk. I don't give them a computer. I figured if the kids had them, then they would have like laptops and they would be in their rooms, or they would play with them at the counter. Well, I guess there isn't a counter. Probably on the couch then. That's usually what I do. But I just decorate the desk rather plainly, and then I also end up changing this picture out here for a couple of the ones from Strangerville because they have cars in them. And like I said, I figured the grandpa fixed up old cars, so I went ahead and grabbed out a whole bunch of pictures that had cars. And then I also get a couple of shelves in here, and I line the shelves with model cars, trains, and airplanes because I figured maybe he was a collector. And it shouldn't interfere with the door. If it does, I'll test it before I upload the house to the gallery, but I'm pretty sure that since it's not actually like on the ground in front of the door, it shouldn't affect it. But over here, I just place a couple of plants, and then I get a couple windows just to fill up the space. Now, I had such a hard time filling in this hallway because there's just so much empty wall space. I had no idea what to keep putting there, especially because of the wallpaper. Like, the wallpaper is eccentric basically, and I felt like it just having all these pictures and everything on there just made it look too crowded. But then I was like, but then doesn't that kind of fit with the whole traditional grandma thing, like an overly crowded, like homey mess basically. But you saw I skipped over the hallway just a little bit just because I was trying to figure out. It took me really long to figure out exactly how I wanted to do it. But this is the kids' room, and I do put quite a bit of clutter in here, I should say, as compared to the parents' bedroom, because I figured the kids spent a lot more time here. I didn't necessarily think that the mother or the father of these kids lived here with the grandparents, but I did think that the kids spent quite a lot of time here as opposed to at their other house. So I did give them quite a few decorations in here and a couple of different toys and stuff. I figured the grandparents wanted them to be very well off, very, have a good situation here with them at their home. Never feel like they were out of place or anything like that. So I do give them just a couple of clutter items, and I use these rugs from the toddler stuff pack. I haven't used them since that one mishap of random pack generator build. If you haven't seen that, I will link it somewhere. But I got toddler stuff for the kitchen, and I had absolutely nothing in that kitchen pretty much except for that rug and a toddler slide. So brings back a little bit of bad memories, but it's kind of funny to think back on it. But going back into this is the adult bedroom, the guest bedroom, the parents' bedroom, however you want to look at it. And I do not put a lot of clutter in here because, as I said, I did think that the kids spent more time here than the actual parent did. But I did give them this mirror, and I gave them this funky wallpaper because initially when I was going into this build, I thought that it was going to be 2 separate kids' rooms. And then when I came up with the story for the family that would be living in here, I was like, no, you know what? This would be better as like a parent's bedroom. And then I just really liked the color of the wallpaper. So I decided to go with that, and then I used a matching rug from Cats and Dogs. And then going in here, this is the Grandparent suite, so they do have their own ensuite bathroom. And then I gave them that sunflower bed, which is a base game bed, but you unlock it through the artist career. And then I fill up the corners with a couple of different things. Over here I get a mirror, a robe, and I kind of place it so it kind of looks like it's hanging off of the mirror. And then a laundry basket. Now that laundry basket is not functional. The only functional laundry basket is the one downstairs in the laundry room. But over here I'm just cluttering up their dresser a little bit, and then I do place another chair here into the bedroom just to give them a little bit of a seating area. And then we're on to the back porch. So I give them a grill. I figured that the grandfather grilled a lot, like the family liked to be outside, and then I gave them a little seating area. It's not big, it only has 2 seats, but I figured that the grandparents sat there while the kids played around and had fun outside. I gave them a swing set, and I also give them a outdoor laundry thing just in case it was really nice out. They decided to go outside and hang the laundry up while they were doing their gardening, because I do also give them a little bit of a gardening section. But besides that, that is it for this build. So I hope you all enjoyed this one, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all next time. Bye!